Hi, this is Candace with the rest of the tutorial for the Hidden Hinge Binding Mini. So, if you've seen the Hidden Hinge Binding tutorial, maybe I'll put the link below and you can see that. The rest of it goes together fairly quickly, and I'm just going to use file folder. My binding is 4 inches, so I'm going to make my mini about 4.5 by 4.5. So I took a file folder and I cut off a 4.5 inch slice this way. So what I'm going to do first is measure my binding so I can see how that's going to fit in. So, and that is about 1 and about 3/8. We want to try to get that as exact as possible. So I'm going to go to the center of this piece of, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it to the center. It's not going to be exact because we're going to trim, and I'm going to go 1, I'm going to make a 1 3/8 swipe here. So right around in the center. So 1, so we'll start at 3, and then 4 3/8 would be right about there. I can't actually do 3/8 on this, so I'll just move this over. So this will now create a binding that will be the same size as the binding on here. Okay, so then, since my binding is 4 inches, my pages will be, I'm going to make this 4 by 4. So the mini itself, the cover, I'm going to do 4 1/4 or 4.5 by 4.5. So this is 4.5, and then I just need I need this to be 4.5. So I'm just going to trim this down to 4.5. Line that up with the 4.5. And if you want to make a bigger one, you can definitely use a file folder. And because they're quite large, I mean, you'll have to refold where the folds are, but because you're going to cover it, this can also be done with chipboard. There's other ways to do it, but for this quick way and the way that I did this last mini, I'm going to go ahead and do it the same way. So now that I have a 4.5 by 4.5, I want the covers on the outside to be 1 inch longer than that so that I can wrap the paper around. So I've cut from this 7 Gypsy stack, I've cut 2 5.5 by 5.5, just 1 inch larger, so that I can put these on here. And I'm going to use my ATG gun to make it fast for you. And I just need to put this on so that there's about a 1/2 inch all the way around. This will be the front, and then I cut the corners. And I want to go ahead and get those folded so they'll be easy to fold. You can put a ruler on there if you're not really good at folding. And I think normally I would use score tape on this because it just seems to stick the best, but because I'm doing the tutorial, I want to make this quick for you. And then I'm going to do the same for the back. So okay, so then I'm going to re-fold those folds where I was at. So, okay, so now I want to put a binding, like a binding cover. So I've got this kind of cool paper that has some, and I cut this about 4 inches wide. It's up to you how far out you want it to go, to give that a look of a binding. And I like this 4 inch size. So I'm going to go ahead and right along the inside edge I'm going to start right there. And again, I would probably normally use score tape for that. And I'm going to use the brown side of this because this is 7 Gypsies paper. I'm going to try to get it in the center as much as possible and as straight as possible. Okay, so now this is on there. And if I look at it and I'm happy with it, then I can finish attaching that. Again, this side. Oops, just ran out of ATG gun. That's okay. All right. Okay. So now I'm just going to stick this down in here. You want to use really good adhesives on these when you're doing the real thing. Winging it. Okay, so again, I refold this again. So now you have this cover. And this is just a nice, soft cover. So now it's time to actually add the binding in here. And again, I would definitely use score tape for this. Whoops, when putting this binding in. And I start with the center, and I would put my score tape right here in the center. And then take this and just slide this right in and trying to center it top to bottom. And it should go right into the center for you. You don't have to try to center it left and right because it should go right in. And you want to make sure to press down really well and use really good adhesive. So now again, you have this in here, and if you're happy, you can finish laying it down. Both sides. Okay. So now you want to, now that your binding is in from your hidden hinges are in, you want to do something on the inside. So since this is 4.5 by 4.5, I've cut these from the same paper pack. I've cut these 4 1/4, so just 1/4 of an inch smaller, so that they'll fit around in here. They'll cover the binding, the extra binding, and you can go even bigger if you want. I just like to have that little space because that's just how I like it to look. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in. Book ready for the pages to go in. Very easy. It's pretty quick, and there is another way that you can do it with chipboard and paper, where you fold it around pieces of chipboard. And so if you want a hardcover, you can make it hardcover. But there you have it. Thanks for watching. See you on YouTube.